Some teams lose races. Some teams lose seasons. But every once in a while, a team loses a part of their DNA.
In 2020, while the world was still dealing with COVID-19 and investment across sport was taking a hit, Williams had to make one of the biggest decisions in its history.
As it is breaking down here in the paddock cap for the first time, the Williams team will no longer have a member of the Williams family at its helm after this weekend. Claire Williams stepping aside, Sir Frank also taking the decision to no longer be involved with the team.
After 43 years of being family-owned, Claire Williams sold the team founded by her father, Frank Williams, to Dorilton Capital.
At Williams, we have always been guided by one ambition: to race.
Most intensely competitive people I've ever known.
It is amazing! I cannot believe this! The Union Jacks are waving and Nigel Mansell wins!
What we're all doing in this world is creating sporting history.
We are racing.
And just like that, one of Formula One's last true family empires was gone. And sometimes the hardest part isn't the decision, it's living with the aftermath.
I regret the fact that I had to sell the team. I regret, did I put enough effort and time into the whole thing, all that kind of stuff. But all I can ever say to myself is, at the time, I did the absolute best that I could with the best intentions in my heart. And I think that's all we can do in life.
The years that followed were defined by two pressures: performance decline and financial strain.
One of the things that killed our team was the overspending. We were spending $120 million a year. The top teams are spending north of $400 million a year. And we just could not compete in that space. The money flooding into Formula One now is insane. It's really courtesy of Drive to Survive. I think it was season 4, during that second year of COVID, when everyone was at home. That was the time when the interest in it exploded. Very unfortunately, we missed out on that by a year.
And by 2023, it got uglier than anyone expected.
Their biggest loss on record, £84.2 million, up from £17.9 million the year before. By 2024, the results still reflected a team trying to stabilise.
Because by then, Williams' last podium was technically in 2021. George Russell, Belgium, a race that lasted 2 laps.
In 2021, George Russell does get his first podium in this sport at his 50th Grand Prix this afternoon.
The last podium in a real full-length fight, 2017, Lance Stroll, Baku, 3rd place. That's how far back you had to go to find proof that this team was once feared.
I'm just lost for words right now. It was a hectic race. That was probably one of the closest finishes of all time. But what a race. I couldn't believe coming into the weekend that I'd be standing here on the podium. It's so amazing.
The team entered 2024 in a familiar position, carrying historic reputation but searching for a clear route back to competitiveness.
James Vowles continued as team principal from 2023, leading Williams into the next stage of its rebuild after arriving from Mercedes, where he served as strategy director.
Williams has such a strong and rich heritage. I feel privileged to be a part of this team and hugely motivated. Across my career so far, I've had my share of failure. However, I've also been fortunate to share in great success. I haven't lost the hunger, ambition or desire to win, but rather gained the ambition to build this journey with Williams.
The driver lineup remained unchanged. Alex Albon, now established as team leader after joining in 2022, partnered by Logan Sargent, entering his 2nd season, the season where he needed to prove himself.
Williams called 2024 a year of rebuilding, and at times it almost looked real.
Albon scored key points in Monaco, then again in Azerbaijan.
And in Baku, Williams pulled off their best team result since 2017, double points.
But while Alex was climbing, Logan wasn't.
By mid-season, James Vowles said Logan had reached the limit of what he's able to achieve. That performance simply wasn't there.
And I wanted him every opportunity to show and demonstrate really that my pace is here, my performance is here, and if there's points, I'll pick them up. And as we got to the end of the weekend, that wasn't the case. And that's not because he didn't give his all to us. He really did. Every weekend, he'd wake up, and this is what he wanted to do, perform in a Formula One car. It's what he's dreamed of doing. And it's one of the toughest things I've had to do in my career. Seemingly, and Williams have quite a few of these that appear, but it really was very, very difficult to take an individual that's giving you everything and tell them it's over and it's done.
So for the final 9 races, Logan was out, and in came rookie Franco Colapinto. A new name, a new hope.
But the fairy tale never arrived. Williams finished P9 with only 17 points, not progress, a downgrade from P7 in 2023.
And yet, James Vowles kept saying the same thing. Trust the process.
What do we need to do to win? You spoke about history before. I never got into it. Heritage. We have heritage that still puts us top 3 in the sport. That's definitely a part of it, without question. Then there's current success. There is no doubt about it that Mercedes and McLaren have higher values than we do. And McLaren didn't approximately 3 years ago. That's performance-based more than anything else. They were almost 4 years ago in quite significant financial trouble, actually, as a result of things. Why are they where they are today? They've still got great heritage, but they're a winning entity. And so you've got 2 methods now. You can do a very low amount of investment or an amount to pump it up. But I go back to, why am I doing this? And why are my investors doing this? We're here to win. Simple as that.
2025 would give Williams something it hasn't had in a long time. Momentum. Because joining the team, a race winner. A proven name.
First and foremost, we have some really exciting news to share with all of you. This is not public for another half an hour. I wanted to spend some time here sharing with you first, more than anything else. But instead of me saying any more, perhaps best just to watch this.
Hi everyone, today I'm announcing that I will be joining the Williams family from 2025 onwards.
Race winner and experienced F1 driver Carlos Sainz, fresh from Ferrari, now alongside Alex Albon.
2 experienced drivers, 2 serious resumes, a statement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it so much like this, all or nothing kind of style. In my head, it's great to have Carlos on board. I think he's going to bring a lot to the team. He's coming from a very strong year, maybe his strongest in Formula One, and I think for me it's a great opportunity.
And off the track?
Williams secured their biggest partnership in their 48-year history. Software giant Atlassian stepping in as title partner.
F1 is as much about technology as it is about racing. It's a sport that brings together the human and the machine.
We've got approximately 1,200 people across hundreds of teams.
Based in multiple locations, from designers to aerodynamicists to race engineers to strategists.
Hundreds of vendors, thousands of parts, hundreds and thousands of engineering decisions.
And it's a very, very competitive sport.
The ingredients are coming together, but 2025 will show if the recipe finally works.
Because this isn't just any team, this is Williams.
One of the longest legacies in Formula One, standing beside giants like Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes.
My dad came from nothing in Formula One. He had nothing except a dream, and he managed to create this extraordinary team that so many people around the world love. This team has always been at our heart. It's always been, the very centre of our family. The legacy this family leaves behind in this sport is fairly extraordinary.
Williams Racing has won 9 Constructors Championships, 7 Drivers' Championships and 114 Grand Prix victories. It's one of the most successful teams the sport has ever seen.
But Formula One has a cruel disease, and it's called recency bias.
And if you only look at the last few years, you'd never believe this team once ruled the grid.
Still, Williams isn't leaving. The resilience is still there, the rebuild is still alive, and the story isn't over.
The question is simple. Will Williams return to the top, or will this legacy stay a memory?
It started with this. I don't care about 23, I don't care about 24, and I really don't care about 25. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But that's not what's of interest to me. I'm interested in 25 is a bit of a borderline one, but 23 and 24 I don't care about. We can finish last. Break everything. This is an opportunity you'll never have in your lifetime. Break everything. You have carte blanche from me. You have a free pass to, if we can do it better, let's do it better, let's talk about it. Don't carry on with the same way we've been doing it for 20 years, and we'll go backwards as a result of that. But break everything.
Only time will tell.
There's something beautifully stubborn about Formula One. No matter how far you fall, no matter how many times you hit a wall, the sport demands you come back fighting. And no one on the grid fought back harder than Williams. The 2024 season had been filled with brutal moments for the team.
He's Williams over the curves and hitting the barriers. The Thai driver then a passenger as his car careered across the track, colliding with the opposite. First practice in Japan saw a red flag when Logan Sargent found the barriers at turn 7. The American driver straddling the curbs and the grass, then losing control of his Williams. Off the road goes Kevin Magnussen, and looking at our driver tracker, Logan Sargent might be there as well.
They started the 2024 campaign with a car that arrived late and was overweight. A chassis shortage in Australia forced their team principal, James Vowles, to make what he called the hardest decision of his career, pulling Logan Sargent's car and handing it to Alex Albon after a crash. The next setback was the team decision to part ways with Logan Sargent from the team at Monza. 6 major crashes across 3 race weekends in Brazil and Las Vegas that left the mechanics working through the night every night. A measly 17 points for the entire season, leaving them 9th in the Constructors Championship. But James, who joined Williams in early 2023 from Mercedes, wasn't building for 2024. He was playing the long game.
You present a vision that people will sign up to. So there's no point presenting a vision of we're going to win 10 championships and it'll start next year, because 0 people around me will sign up to it. It has to be a realistic time frame when we can fix things, a realistic assessment of what we need to get into the right place in order to achieve that.
The transformation happening behind the scenes at Grove was nothing short of remarkable. When James arrived, the team was still tracking car parts using Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. The workforce had grown from 700 people to over 1,000.
On day 1 of walking in, I was caught out by how far away we were from benchmark in Williams. And it's an interesting word, worse. It was different. It wasn't a bad culture. It was people doing what they thought was right. There wasn't individuals wanting to fight the business, but it was short-termist. It was just survival.
A new driver in the loop simulator was coming. Infrastructure projects were underway, and the entire culture was shifting. And crucially, they landed Carlos Sainz. The signing of the Spaniard from Ferrari was James's masterstroke. Here was a driver who'd won races more recently than anyone at Williams, a driver who'd helped improve every team he'd been with, a driver with the technical feedback and experience to help guide a team trying to claw its way back to respectability.
For me, what was fundamental, it was not so much the short term. At the beginning, when I was having to take such an important decision, I was very focused in which team was going to be quicker in 2025, who was generating more downforce, who is finding out stuff that is going to make them quicker. Finally, I realized that my decision had to be based on 2 things, the project and the people. And when I started discussing more in detail with James, I realized that he had put together a very strong project here in Williams.
But signing a star driver is one thing. Giving him a car worth driving, that's another challenge entirely.
Williams embodied that fighting spirit in 2025, and by January, the Williams factory in Grove was buzzing with an energy it hadn't felt in years. For the first time since anyone can remember, they're not scrambling, they're not late, the car isn't overweight, they're ready. And that feeling, that quiet confidence, would set the tone for the season that nobody saw coming. Even at the Williams launch event in late January 2025, everything felt different. Where 2024 had been filled with stress and late nights and a car that barely made it to testing, now, in 2025, there was calm, confidence. They were even live streaming the car rolling out of the garage for the first time in front of the media and guests.
You don't want to hear my voice, you want to hear that thing going out the garage. So good. So good.
There it goes. There it goes. Now we kind of hold our breath, you know, it's like a shakedown. Is everything going to stick together? All the parts going to stay on the car? Is it going to come back in one piece?
The FW47 emerged in a sleek black and blue camouflage livery, sponsors proudly displayed, looking every bit like a proper Formula One car should. James was almost relaxed at the launch, a stark contrast to the previous year.
It's obviously an evolution of last year's car. We've had a reasonable winter. It's always difficult to know, though, because the field, as we finished the last race, I think we qualified within half a second of one another. That's at Abu Dhabi. So the field's closing in together, and what you don't know is how good a winter others have had. What I can say is I'm proud of the work we can achieve, or we have achieved across the winter. When you look at the car, you can see just 1,000 details that are just another evolution of where we were before. So there's been literally no bolt left to where it was. We're making sure we're continuously moving the team forward.
One of the most significant changes was technical. Williams had switched from the 2023 spec Mercedes pull rod rear suspension they'd run in 2024 to the latest pushrod configuration for 2025. The new setup allowed for a narrower transmission housing, better airflow, and more consistent rear end behaviour under braking, and was the kind of thing that gives drivers confidence to push harder into corners.
This is fantastic, and it's thanks to everyone here. Thank you so much for coming. It is an amazing event. Racing is in our hearts, it's what we do. As Carlos said, we can't wait to get going. We'll be in Bahrain in just a few days' time, and Australia's less than a month away, so we can't wait. 25 starts now.
Carlos, fresh from his first test in the car back in Abu Dhabi, seemed genuinely enthused. His feedback matched Alex's almost exactly, which is a team principal's dream scenario. Alex, for his part, seemed energised rather than threatened by such a high-calibre teammate.
I think firstly having a top driver from a top team, it brings a lot to Williams. We need that experience, we need that speed as well. I don't know maybe Carlos as well as I do other drivers, but we got on well. I love to go up against top drivers, and I feel like we'll have a great partnership. I think we're going to learn from each other, and also Carlos' experience will help bring the team up. Obviously I've been in Williams for a few years now, so to have that different point of view about things can only help us.
The mood was optimistic but measured. James made it clear. The real target was 2026, when the regulations would reset the grid. Williams had started work on their 2026 car on January 2nd, the earliest date teams could, and it had been in the wind tunnel ever since. The 2025 car had been front-loaded, which was first tested in the wind tunnel back in 2024, specifically so they could focus on getting ahead for the regulation change. But it didn't mean 2025 was a write-off, far from it. Alex wanted to fight in the top half of the midfield.
A successful season to me is obviously building on last year. What I mean by that is not just fundamentally in championship position, but making sure that we have a much better grasp of what we're doing in terms of developmental items of use of the product. It's also items that aren't really relevant to the 24 races you see at home, but making sure that we're able to run the car program and those 24 races in succession and tandem with developing next year's car without hindering it at the same time, whilst we're building the team and building technologies underneath as well.
The team wanted to show that they were moving in the right direction. With all the technical regulations making the field tighter than ever, there was genuine reason to believe points were possible. Nobody was predicting podiums, nobody was talking about fifth in the championship, but as the car shipped off to pre-season testing in Bahrain, there was something Williams hadn't had in years. Hope. The 2025 season opener in Australia will go down as one of the wildest races in recent memory, and Williams were right in the thick of it.
Albert Park had everything that makes Formula One simultaneously terrifying and thrilling. Carlos's day ended almost before it began, as he had a spin at turn 16 on the very first lap, after being caught out by an upshift issue while the car was in safety car mode.
Carlos Sainz has found the wall. It's not just the rookies. He's all right, but this is an extraordinary start to the season.
I think that's a car issue there for Sainz rather than anything else. That's a bizarre one, and it's under safety car as well.
Yeah, I've never seen something like that. It's such low speed. And those final two corners,
I had like a massive torque surge.
Frustrating doesn't even begin to cover it. Your first race with a new team at a circuit where overtaking is difficult, and you're out before you've even properly begun.
Obviously not the way you want to start the year, and a bit of a unfortunate situation, but we move on. Not the first race we wanted, but at the same time, I'm quick, I feel comfortable in the car, and now we need to keep the year started.
But Carlos, ever the professional, spent the rest of the race on the pit wall, helping the team strategize for Alex.
And then suddenly the camera points at the McLarens, and the McLarens are going off the road into the last two corners. And I go, box! And I start shouting to them, box now! And everyone's like, yeah, box. And then suddenly you come in, but not many others came in. And I was like, oh my God, we might have really... And then suddenly I stay there like, wait 2 minutes, and it starts down for a couple of laps. And I've never been so nervous. I thought for a moment it was not going to rain, and I was like, I should have just shut up, you know?
I don't know if you saw in the race, but Carlos was up on the pit wall right beside me, and his insight was fantastic. He looked at the radar and went, when that hits, they won't stay on track. Simple as that. And you could see the big key decision today is, do you stop or not? And you saw the field was split. Carlos's information was key towards this, so it is a group effort really in that regard, and it's fantastic to see.
Alex started 10th, but the wet conditions meant opportunities were everywhere. The rain came and went, came back harder, went away again. It was the kind of race where timing your tyre changes made all the difference, and Williams nailed it. When the final downpour arrived, Alex was one of the first to dive for intermediate tyres, while others hesitated. That call catapulted him up to 4th as cars on slicks struggled in the wet. The final laps were tense. Alex defended beautifully against Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes, the young Italian eventually getting past on the penultimate lap. But then Kimi picked up a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release, promoting Alex back to 4th.
People, bloody people. Yes! Oh, wow, Alex, absolutely fantastic. That is brilliant drive in some really tough conditions. Well done, mate. Really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, James. Well done, everyone. Yes, guys. Hi, girls.
4th place, 10 points. Their best result since anyone could remember. Except it wasn't 4th. The FIA reviewed the penalty and overturned it on appeal. Alex was classified 5th. Still, it was his best Williams result, and it was a sign that the team was back in the game.
It feels a bit mellow in some ways because it was such a crazy race. I'm just trying to get my head around it. Fantastic for the team, first of all. Great strategy. I have to say Charles, our strategist, did a great job. I didn't agree with his call to put me in pits. The track was bone dry in sector 1 and 2 when I came out, but it was the right call, and just really happy for everyone.
1 race, 10 points, already matching more than half their entire 2024 tally. The season had begun perfectly.
China arrived a week later, and Williams kept the points flowing. They had another challenging weekend and had to navigate the sprint format, but when the main event came around, both cars found their way into the top 10.
I think we had the whole midfield spread by a 10th on our calculations, and we knew Q1 and Q2, honestly, it was almost the same qualifying session because the margins are so close that your chance to get through Q1 is just as difficult as getting through into Q3 kind of thing. It's weird, but yeah, just very happy to execute the laps and get clean laps on the board. It's really tricky because the wind was gusting quite a lot during that session, and it was easy to make mistakes, and you had to kind of ignore them and make sure to finish the lap because there was always a corner on the track that you'd make a mistake on. So yeah, anyway, happy.
Alex crossed the line 9th, Carlos 13th, but post-races qualifications promoted them to 7th and 10th respectively. 7 more points. The tally stood at 17, exactly what they'd scored in all of 2024.
It was strange because basically in Australia, it happened the other way, that I lost a position because Kimi's penalty got removed. So it was a nice feeling to go the other way.
Get a few points back.
How about you?
I think I was about to board the plane and I suddenly read it.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then they told me, but that puts you in P10 also because Gasly.
Yeah.
So I was like, I suddenly gained 3 positions. And it was like, after a disappointing day, I was like, yeah, I'll take the point. Every point matters.
Japan continued the trend. Alex qualified 9th for the 3rd consecutive race, remarkable consistency, and converted it into another points finish. Carlos, starting further back after a qualifying penalty for impeding, climbed to 14th. Not spectacular, but solid. Then came Bahrain, and the first real stumble. Alex qualified 16th after a messy session where the team misjudged the pit exit queue, costing him crucial tyre temperature on his outlap.
Albon, who has been in the points all the way through, finds himself in the bottom 5 for the 4th Grand Prix of the year.
He fought back brilliantly in the race, climbing to 12th, but it wasn't enough for points.
No, we had enough. We had more than enough, to be honest. I think we were coming through the field really well on the hard tyre. We were about to go into a net P8, and then the safety car came out at the wrong time.
Carlos, meanwhile, had been running well inside the top 10 before damage from contact with Yuki Tsunoda's Red Bull left a gaping hole in his side pod.
Let's wait to see the Williams. So now oh my word, applying the power. Yuki Tsunoda nearly oversteering into Carlos Sainz. They nearly made contact at turn 1, on the way out, on the way in, and also at turn 2. Unbelievably close. And there was contact between the two.
The loss of aerodynamic efficiency was catastrophic. He limped home, eventually retiring the car.
It just caused me the damage, and from then on I had a second and a half of car damage, and I just had to retire, and bit of a shame, because at points it looked like we could have a good haul of points for the first time in the year, but then we still lack a bit of pace, and we still need to improve a few things, but we are on the right track.
0 points from Bahrain hurt, but it was just one race. Surely they'd bounce back.
Saudi Arabia provided the team with a bounce-back opportunity. Carlos took an excellent 6th on the grid, with Alex just missing out in 11th.
Second quali in a row, I think that we do the maximum I think the car can do, so for being only the 5th race, I think it's really good progress that we're doing every race weekend, and getting to grips with it, still learning a lot through every session, throughout every run. Even this last quali was quite hectic, especially Q1, but happy, because again in front of a Ferrari and a Red Bull, so it shows the progress we're doing.
Race day brought more drama as the safety car bunched the pack up after an opening lap collision, but Williams executed perfectly. Carlos and Alex worked together beautifully in the closing laps, with Carlos giving Alex DRS protection to fend off Isaac Hadjar's charging Red Bull.
Hadjar, 33.5.
She will not pass Alex.
Try to protect Alex.
I think if we push, he doesn't pass us.
They crossed the line 8th and 9th. 6 more points, crisis averted.
Great job, P8, P9. Great teamwork on this last lap. Good management, really well done.
I must say as well then, I'm so proud and so impressed. It was just teamwork to the absolute maximum. I can see now why you won in Singapore.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, guys. Good job. It brought back some good memories from Singapore.
It's P9. Well done, mate. Well done.
Yeah, well done, everyone. All played.
Well done, Alex. That is just how we play as a team.
Through the first 5 races, Williams had scored at 4 of them. They were 5th in the Constructors Championship, punching well above where anyone had predicted.
There was a stat, it's not ours, but I saw it from Formula One, that this was our best start in 9 years. And it makes me proud to have a team around me that is just pushing every single element of the organisation and wanting more and wanting us to move up. And the result is just simply a reflection of that.
The car was consistent, the drivers were gelling, the strategy calls were sharp. Everything that had gone wrong in 2024 seemed to be going right in 2025. And then Miami happened.
There's momentum behind us at the moment, and we need to use that momentum. So whilst I talk about the fact that 26 is our focus, that doesn't mean we're at the end of the road and what performance we can extract from this year's car. This weekend we have an opportunity to score points again, and we have an opportunity to get both cars into the top 10. It's a challenge, it always is a challenge, but it's one that I know we have the ability to come through on the other side.
If you want to point to a single weekend where Williams truly announced they were back, it was Miami. Alex qualified 6th, Carlos 7th, both firmly in the mix and both looking racy.
It had been a very scrappy weekend up until now. Weird, because I'm feeling really confident and really comfortable in the car this weekend, and I just like what the car is doing, and when I see the results and everything that has happened, both on the driving and the operational side, I was very frustrated. But we pressed the reset button really well for this quali. There's still the whole weekend ahead of us. And we managed to put together, honestly, up until now, my best lap in Williams in quali, only 3/10 of pole. I think it must have been a good lap because to be only 3/10 away from pole has to be a good job. And very happy, very proud.
And when the lights went out on Sunday, both cars were immediately in the thick of it. Perhaps too much so.
The two Williams have swapped around the order that they started this Grand Prix, and let's see whether they'll be allowed to race. They will, and Carlos Sainz is taking the position back that he lost at the start. That is Albon going by, and we currently believe that they were told not to race each other, and he's got P6 in the order at the moment.
There was contact between Alex and Carlos at turn 1 as they tried to avoid the carnage ahead, but crucially, neither car suffered significant damage. The race settled into a fascinating strategic battle. Virtual safety cars complicated the picture, with one VSC period allowing Charles Leclerc to jump between the two Williams cars, splitting their charge.
And Carlos Sainz, who passed the Ferrari a couple of laps ago, will be under big pressure. Will he be given room? He'll have to be given room. And Hamilton will try and pick up the pieces if they get much closer. This is super tight between the Williams and the Ferrari. But the DRS belongs to Charles Leclerc. And the corner, oh, Hamilton's going to get both of them.
Carlos fought back past the Ferrari, but then lost out to both Charles and Lewis Hamilton when another virtual safety car ended at an inopportune moment on the back straight. Alex, meanwhile, was driving the race of his season. He built a gap back to Kimi's Mercedes and was genuinely keeping pace with the front-running cars. Not just hanging on, actually matching their speed.
Here we go with Antonelli and Alex Albon. Williams having an incredible day out there. It might be about to get even better right now. Albon trying to get through. He allows Antonelli to go deep, and he takes the position away. Fantastic stuff as Sainz gets past Charles Leclerc at turn number 1 as well. Williams having a dream couple of corners.
It was the kind of performance that everyone at Williams HQ had been hoping for. When the race finished, Alex was 5th. Carlos was 9th. 12 glorious points, the team's best single race haul since Baku in 2017, when Lance Stroll took 3rd. James could barely contain his emotion.
It was a fantastic weekend for us. We have a car that was competitive not just in the first few laps in FP1, but across a mixture of that sprint qualifying on Saturday, the race and the drive, but also on that intermediate tyre and crossing over. So a mixture of different circumstances, and every single time the car was able to produce times that put us in contention for points.
It was a perfect weekend, the kind of result that validates every late night, every difficult decision, every sacrifice made along the way. Williams had 37 points after 6 races, more than they'd scored in 2023's entire season. The momentum felt unstoppable.
We had a really good pace. I think we were struggling a little bit with engine temperatures, so it was really important to get past Carlos, and then we caught up the Mercs. Honestly, we had a really good pace. I was quite comfortable in my position. I would even argue George got a little bit lucky with the VSC. Otherwise, a P4 was even possible today. So crazy to say. Also, just amazing to be able to even see the podium.
Imola proved they weren't a one-hit wonder. Another double points finish. Alex 5th and Carlos 8th brought 14 more points. Alex was genuinely disappointed not to finish on the podium. He'd been running as high as 3rd before late race complications with the Ferraris cost him positions. But being disappointed with 5th, that's the kind of problem every Williams fan would have taken in a heartbeat a year earlier. Monaco was scrappy. The 2-stop tyre regulation meant tactical games rather than pure racing. But both cars found points again. 3 more for the tally, 4 consecutive double points finishes. Consistency had become Williams' superpower.
We walk away with valuable points. Really proud of Alex, Carlos and the team who played a really strong team game today. However, that's not how we want to go racing. We want to be here pushing flat out really from start to finish. We had a quick car today and we couldn't use it. But ultimately, with what happens in front of us in terms of tactics, we had to also follow suit in order to be walking away with those points.
By the time the European swing hit full stride, Williams were solidly fifth in the championship with 49 points, comfortably ahead of everyone below them. The target James had set, hold on to fifth, felt not just achievable but likely. And then, almost imperceptibly at first, things started to unravel.
Spain was the first real warning sign. Barcelona's circuit to Catalunya has never been kind to Williams in the ground effect era, and 2025 was no exception. The track's long, loaded corners, especially the type where you need consistent downforce and good tyre management, exposed every weakness with the FW47's DNA. Alex qualified 11th, missing Q3 for the first time all season. Carlos could only manage 18th, as he had traffic in Q1 that cost him dearly.
We only did, I think, 2 laps of low fuel running before we went into qualifying, so we were really on the back foot for most of the weekend. We had an issue in FP3 that we fixed, but we didn't know where the balance of the car was going to be. We took a bit of a guess, and it worked out to be okay, but we had to use all the tyres in Q1 just to get me up to speed. We used 3 sets, and then it just put us on the back foot for Q2, so we only had 1 set to set the lap time, and a shame to miss out.
Honestly, I thought today we had the pace to go to Q3 if we put things together, but unfortunately we were out of position after Franco had a problem in the pit lane. We went out really late in the middle of nowhere and we had to pass 5 or 6 cars in our push lap. Loads of dirty air, which compromised for sure my performance, and in the end, when the field is so tight, we were, I think, 1/10.5 from P7, we were P18.
But qualifying woes became the least of their problems. Both cars suffered front wing damage in the first lap chaos. Both of them had to pit early for replacements. Both were dead last by lap 10. Alex tried to fight back, but collected more damage battling with Liam Lawson, and eventually picked up a penalty and had to retire the car.
No further action. He can retire from the Grand Prix. His torturous run is complete, and it's only the second time this season Alex Albon has failed to score points in a Formula One Grand Prix.
Carlos salvaged 14th after a penalty promoted him, but it was damage limitation at best. 0 points. The streak was over. Canada brought more frustration. Alex qualified 10th, but Carlos was 17th after being blocked in Q1 by Hajar's Racing Bull.
Massive impeding, massive! That's a shambles. That is a shambles from Racing Bulls.
Race day was messy. Alex fought valiantly, but a power unit issue forced him to retire mid-race. Carlos salvaged a single point from 10th, but it felt hollow. Another weekend where the potential was there, but the execution faltered. 3 consecutive races without Alex finishing a race. 3 races where Carlos was playing damage limitation. The reliability that had been rock solid through the season's first half suddenly looked shaky. Cooling issues were becoming a pattern. Brake temperatures were problematic. The Mercedes power unit, which had been bulletproof, was now causing headaches. And then came Austria, the weekend that made everyone at Williams want to forget that June existed.
Qualifying day brought floor damage to both cars. The aggressive curbs at the Red Bull Ring combined with the need to use every millimetre of the track meant Carlos and Alex were pushing the limits, and the car couldn't take it.
And Sainz is only 19th!
Now we're getting into the high speeds. This race saying there's no load, and there's just not, actually. I think there is something wrong with that car. There's no way the tail should be wagging like that.
Carlos reported brake issues from the start of the session, the car pulling massively to one side, before floor damage made the FW47 undrivable. He qualified 19th. Alex fared slightly better, making it to Q2, but floor damage limited his performance there too. He could only manage 12th.
We damaged the floor in Q1 in the middle of my quick lap. I ran wide through turn 7, I believe it was, and then we were fixing the rear with tape, and then we had that red flag, which was maybe the worst timed red flag that could be there. So we ended up doing our last Q2 lap on used tyres and the damaged floor, and we managed 12th, so I'm really happy.
Still, Sunday offered a chance to recover. Their pace had looked strong on Friday. Points were still possible, if they executed well. But they didn't get the chance to find out.
Carlos Sainz hasn't left the grid.
Something is stopping the car from moving forward. Car is stuck.
Copy, I'm just checking what we can do. Game over, Carlos, jump up.
He was classified as a did not start, the most frustrating result code in motorsport.
It's part of the sport also. As an athlete, you always go through luckier times, unluckier times, better times, difficult times. The sport has taught me that this can change very quickly. I just need to keep working hard, keep my head down, and things will change. But as a team, for sure, we need to look at many things, regroup, and see how we can stop having so many issues.
Alex, at least, got to race, and for a while it looked promising. He avoided a multi-car collision at turn 3, jumping from 12th to 7th as others tangled. He fought hard, overtaking Pierre Gasly with a decisive move when the Alpine softs had faded. And then,
as it's a double Williams retirement, Alex Albon out of the race. It's a tough run of races for the British team.
another retirement. Another suspected engine cooling issue, the same problem that had struck in Canada. Alex's third DNF in a row. 0 points, both cars out. A double DNF for the first time all season.
Yeah, I mean, I just got out the car, so I don't know at the moment. It felt inside the cockpit a bit like Canada. We need to review it. I'm not sure if it's temperature related, but it we've had a few DNFs now in a row, so it's a bit annoying, especially when we're in the 5 points.
The answer seemed to be temperature. As the season progressed and European summer hit, ambient temperatures rose. The cooling package that had worked fine in Melbourne and Shanghai was struggling in the heat of Saudi Arabia, Canada, and Austria. And Williams didn't have the simulation infrastructure to catch these problems before they happen on track.
A very disappointing Austria weekend for us. It was a weekend of promise. The car was very quick in that race pace trim, not as much on single lap, which is something we need to really work into. But we walk away with nothing and a double DNF. In terms of what happened across the course of the weekend, what we could see was on a long run, so effectively in the race conditions, our car was quick. It was very much there and in a position where it can earn points. But we weren't able to get the single lap out of it, the qualifying condition, as much as other teams were. There were other teams, conversely, very quick on one lap, but not as performant when it came to the race trim.
All the progress they'd made, all the improvements to processes and people and culture were still not at the level of the top teams. Not even close. And with the decision made months earlier to stop major development on the 2025 car to focus on 2026, there were no significant upgrades coming to fix these issues. The Austria debacle dropped Williams to 62 points. Suddenly, that P5 spot James had said would mean the world to Williams didn't look so secure.
While the team's reliability woes affected both drivers, Carlos's personal struggles were becoming increasingly apparent as the season wore on. And it's important to understand, this wasn't about talent. Carlos Sainz is a race winner. He'd beaten Charles Leclerc over a season, he'd driven brilliantly at Ferrari, his ability was never in question.
Being world champion is my purpose. What keeps me waking up in the morning to go cycle at 7 a.m. and go to the factory, go to meet my engineers, go to the simulator, the days that you're tired and jet lag and you don't want to do so many laps in the simulator, but there's 3 setups that you want to try. That's what drives me. I still think I have a lot of good years ahead of me, but I would like it to be as soon as possible. Like when you want something, you want it as soon as possible. And the championship, I want it as soon as possible.
But Formula One cars are sensitive, temperamental machines, and switching teams is never easy, even for experienced drivers. The early races had been tough for Carlos, a DNF on debut in Australia, an SQ2 exit in China after struggling to get to grips with the balance of his new car, 14th in Japan after a qualifying penalty.
One of the strangest swings of performance that I've had in my career, going from naturally and super quick in Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, even at the beginning of Australia, and then suddenly the pace has just seemed to fall away from me.
From a driver of his caliber, and a car that Alex was regularly putting into the points, it had to be demoralising. But here's the thing about Carlos Sainz, he doesn't quit. He'd shown it at every team he'd driven for, at Toro Rosso, at Renault, at McLaren, at Ferrari. He always found a way to come good eventually. And at Williams, he had James's full support.
When Ferrari didn't renew me, I was like, I can still be in a competitive car for 25. then it took 3 or 4 months, and then there was a point where I said, I'm not going to be in a race-winning car for 25. That was probably the second lowest moment, but then it completely changed my mindset, and I managed to see it as a positive. What if finally I go to a place where I'm given the right protagonism and the right leadership, to actually help the team move forward? And I felt Williams and James were very good at selling that to me in a very good way, and giving me that environment to say, I'm actually very looking forward to be in that environment and feeling, you want to use the word love in the right way, but feeling loved in the right way. And that's what makes me smile now being in Williams.
Alex too was nothing but supportive. The two drivers had developed a genuine working relationship, sharing technical feedback openly and playing the team game when needed. There was no hint of the toxic teammate rivalries that poison some teams, just two professionals trying to pull Williams forward. They even had a ship name given to them by fans.
We need to upgrade it to Carbono.
Carbono. Yeah,
I think Carbono is the
I like that.
is the upgrade we need.
Yeah, I like that.
Carbonara is cool, but it's too much too funny in a way. We need something a bit more serious and aggressive.
Still, as the summer break approached, Carlos needed a breakthrough. He needed a weekend where everything clicked, where the car felt right, and where he could show everyone, including himself, that he still had it. That breakthrough was coming, but first, Williams had to survive a few more challenging weeks.
Silverstone brought relief, at least for one side of the garage. Alex qualified 10th and drove brilliantly in mixed conditions to finish 8th, providing 4 points that felt like gold given the recent struggles for the team. Carlos, meanwhile, endured another difficult weekend. 11th in qualifying, then he got caught in first lap contact with Leclerc that damaged his front wing. He finished outside the points. Belgium was where the tide started to turn. Alex was magnificent all weekend, putting the car 5th on the grid, Williams' best qualifying result of the year, and then defending that position beautifully in a rain-soaked race to score 8 points.
Yeah, very happy. Not easy to hold off Lewis, and he gave me a lot of pressure for a long part of the race. In some ways a bit annoyed to have given a position up to George, but to be honest with you, I think we struggled a little bit more in the wet than we do in the dry. Once we put the dry tyres on, we were okay, and I'm happy. I think we're finished 12 seconds or so in front of the next midfield car, which is a good statement of intent from us, and it shows that our package was working well this weekend. So, yeah, very happy.
His defensive driving against Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari was a masterclass, refusing to yield on the Kemmel Straight lap after lap, despite Hamilton having DRS. The package was working. The car, when given the right conditions and the right setup, could compete with some of the best. But Carlos was still searching for his breakthrough, and it came in Baku.
Azerbaijan had been good to Williams in the past. Alex's 7th place finish in 2024 had been one of their few highlights, and in 2025, the street circuit's unique characteristics seemed to unlock something in both the car and Carlos's confidence.
We've changed quite a lot the car for this, but it's not giving us right at the moment the right balance in qualifying, so we will have to find something because the pace is really good.
When the timing screens flashed purple during qualifying, a collective breath held in the garage finally broke.
Oh, thank you. So you did really good pizza. Amazing job, difficult session.
Thank you, guys. Vamos, Carlos. Well done. It's a brilliant qualifying session. Wow, that was tough. Well done.
P2. His best start in a Williams, and a lap so rapid and precise it felt like a declaration of intent. The momentum from the sprint wasn't just a trend, it was a tidal wave. On Sunday, the red lights went out and Carlos converted that front row start to a performance of pure, agonising grit.
For the first time with Williams, Carlos Sainz will stand on the podium. It's Williams' first podium since 2021.
For 51 laps, he didn't just drive, he defended a legacy. He threw the car into the slipstream, holding off a pack of faster cars through sheer determination. When he came on the radio, you could tell what it meant to Carlos, James, and the entire team.
Vamos! Vamos! Best podium in my career, guys. You cannot imagine how this tastes. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, This is my first smooth operation in Williams. And not the last.
It was Williams' first podium since George Russell's second place at Spa in 2021. For Carlos, it was validation.
Well, I always said that as long as the luck is there when we're fighting for a podium and we don't do mistakes when we're fighting for big things, I was going to be okay. And today is a perfect example. We had no issues. I could show the pace that I've had all year and we stick it on the podium.
Not many people would have expected Carlos to take a first podium for Williams before his Ferrari replacement Lewis Hamilton got his, but that's exactly what transpired. For the team, it was confirmation that all the work, all the progress, all the belief was justified. They belonged on that podium. This wasn't a fluke.
It's hard to express just what this result meant to the team, but safe to say it's a huge amount. I'm proud of Carlos. It's not been the easiest of years, and yet he did an absolutely incredible job all weekend long to bring home certainly the first podium for me whilst I've been within Williams, and one that the team absolutely relished and celebrated. I'm proud of Alex. He absolutely showed the sports person that he is when he came underneath the podium, immediately wanted to celebrate as part of the team. It meant a huge amount to him, as it did to myself and to everyone else.
The points haul stood at 15 from the weekend, with Alex finishing 9th in the race, and suddenly, with Carlos finding his form, the final races looked very different. Amidst all the excitement and celebration surrounding the victory, it was the unicorn sticker on the Spanish driver's helmet that also drew people's attention.
There's one more thing that's actually quite special. I'm pretty sure either sparkles or sprinkles has something to do with this as well at the same time. So that's staying, I assume, for a little bit now.
Until the end of the year, for sure.
There you go, done.
The sticker originated from a young Williams superfan called Thea, who got her question answered by the drivers in a video on Instagram. So whilst Carlos enjoyed his best result with his new team, a small sticker of sparkles made its way onto his third place trophy. Qatar brought more celebration for Williams. Carlos started P7 on the wrong side of the grid, where grip goes to die. Alex Albon got swallowed up in a brutal midfield DRS train. But Carlos did something special. He didn't just start, he launched.
Open the gap now to Norris now, as much as possible.
Yes. McLaren moments, they've been pushing for 46 laps.
I think Norris will struggle to pass Antonelli with the pace we're doing.
That's the prediction from Carlos Sainz.
Get towards Kimi pretty soon, but hey, Carlos is feeling confident.
Yeah, guys, I think we need to go for it. Push flat out to the finish. Try to get this.
He got past Isaac Hadjar and hunted down a struggling George Russell through turn 2. By the end of lap 1, he had dragged his Williams into P5. He wasn't just bringing home points anymore, he was hunting for a trophy. Pirelli's 25-lap tyre mandate turned the strategy into a minefield. When the safety car hit, the Williams pit crew didn't blink.
Sainz will complete the podium if he gets a clean final turn of the racetrack. We come across the line and the gap between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris is 12 points heading into the final Grand Prix of the season.
Suddenly, Carlos was P3 and the dream was in his hands. Carlos was fighting the car through those high-speed right-handers, the tyres screaming for mercy. And in his mirrors was the silhouette of a McLaren. Lando Norris, the championship leader, had dispatched Kimi Antonelli and was closing in with terrifying pace. On the final lap, Lando was in DRS range. He was right on the Williams' rear wing, but Carlos Sainz is the smooth operator for a reason. He parked that car exactly where it needed to be.
Unbelievable.
And that is P3. Amazing. Fucking hell. Sorry for my word. Amazing.
You made us proud in Baku, and wow, have you done justice to it today. Well done, Carlos. That is an absolutely incredible drive. So proud of you, man. Proud of you.
Podium in Qatar! What the hell?
Yep.
Vamos, James! Vamos, get on.
Vamos.
Great job, everyone.
Well,
Strategy, mechanics,
everything
engineers, drivers. Incredible.
When he crossed the line in third, he had secured 5th place in the Constructors Championship for Williams.
Just a message from all three of us and the whole team to say thank you to everyone for supporting us on our journey. I couldn't be prouder. P5 in the Constructors Championship. If anyone said that to us 12 months ago, it would have been at best a dream. And yet to our name today, that's what we've achieved. Along the journey, with 2 full podiums and another podium as well to our name, and these trophies that stand by it. So a thank you to everyone, and watch this space. This is the start of a great journey.
Coming into the weekend, we expected to struggle and be far off the top 10, and all of a sudden, from the beginning of the weekend, we were competitive. We had a bit of a difficult sprint on P8, begging a lot the tire, but we did a few setup changes that switched on the car for the quali and the race that allowed us to hold a much better race pace than we anticipated starting the race. And from the beginning, I felt I was, after a great start that put me into P5, I was like, we are quick and we are going to fight these cars around me. And we didn't only fight them, we beat some of them, and we got to a podium.
Abu Dhabi, the season finale, should have been a celebration. 5th in the championship, 2 podiums, 137 points. Carlos and Alex confirmed for another season together. The foundations laid for a strong 2026 push. Instead, it served as a sobering reminder of how much work remained. Williams were nowhere, 13th and 16th. No pace, no answers. And that, perhaps, encapsulates the entire 2025 Williams story.
We were the 12th fastest car, and with nothing exciting happening in that race, we're always going to finish there. Everyone else, really, I think we just did everything we could to finish in the points, but there was just simply not enough pace this weekend, which I hope it serves as a good wake-up call to the team in case after a podium, you come back to Abu Dhabi thinking you're going to be strong, and now we were quite weak this weekend, and I'm actually happy that this happened, so we go into the winter without falling asleep.
We had a great start actually, and we either had to go long or go short, and we went in the middle, and so we boxed on the same lap as everyone else in front of us, which just meant we spent the whole race in traffic, which happens, and we'll look back at it, but generally, a weekend to forget, but a season to remember, and very happy.
It was a season of remarkable progress, from 9th to 5th, from 17 points to 137, from struggling to finish races to standing on podiums, but it was also a season that exposed their limitations. The decision to prioritise 2026 development meant they hit a ceiling in 2025. Once other teams brought upgrades through the summer, Williams, running essentially the same specification car from Melbourne to Abu Dhabi, started to fall back.
I think for us, there's a lot of pros and cons that we've learned from, a lot of learning on how to use the tyres, but one of the aspects of Abu Dhabi that was a weakness in the car that we didn't predict was just not able to get that front-end strength that we had at previous tracks, and really hurt us in corners like Turn 9, also accentuating the graining that you saw in the race. So there's a few reasons behind it. It's not just about pure pace, it's about a slight balance limitation that we weren't able to work out. All of it, though, gives us good direction for next year to ensure that we have a package that's able to cope more with that variety and that varied nature.
The cooling issues that plagued them at high-temperature races never fully went away. The inherent weakness in long-loaded corners remained. Alex Albon finished 8th in the Drivers' Championship with 73 points, which was his best ever season total. Carlos was 9th with 64 points, a respectable return considering his difficult adaptation period. Together, they delivered 137 points and finished 5th in the Constructors' Championship.
I think is what I said in yesterday's debrief. I think if you would have asked the team, P5 constructors, P8, P9 in drivers, couple podiums, plenty of top 6, top 5 finishes in races, would the team have taken it? 100%.
In many ways, we could have both said there were moments in the year where we wanted more from it, but at the same time, as a whole reflection, we came away as still the most consistent team in the midfield. And we had our moments, enjoyed our racing. It was a fun year. I think, generally speaking, we were on that kind of brink of occasionally being able to fight with the top teams. It was nice. It was like, to me, it felt almost like a taste of where I want us to go to and where we're going to go to.
This was a team that had scored 17 points the year before. That was 9th in the championship, that had endured the humiliation of withdrawing a driver mid-weekend because they didn't have a spare chassis. And now they were ahead of Alpine, ahead of Aston Martin's works team, ahead of Haas, Racing Bull and Sauber. The financial implications were huge. Constructor prize money is distributed based on championship position, and the difference between 5th and 6th is measured in millions. That's money Williams could invest in infrastructure, in people, and in preparing for 2026.
James Vowles stood in the Williams factory in December 2025, reflecting on the season that had been. The same factory that now housed over 1,000 employees, world-class simulation tools, and a driver lineup that could compete with anyone.
We wanted to make a step forward from where we were. We wanted to make sure that we demonstrated to the world we're a different team to where we have been and that we're making strides forward, but never losing focus on our future, i.e. 2026 and beyond. And this year, to still hold on to that P5 position, 5th place, and more than that, have 3 podiums to our name, a huge point score, that exceeds our expectations.
The journey had taken them from the depths of despair to genuine competitiveness faster than anyone could have predicted. But James wasn't naive. He knew 5th place, while fantastic, was still a long way from where Williams belonged. From where they'd been, race winners, championship contenders, one of the sport's great names. The 2026 regulations represented their best chance. New power unit, new aerodynamic rules. Williams had been preparing for it longer than most, sacrificing 2025 development to get ahead of the curve. The car had been in the wind tunnel since January 2nd. The infrastructure projects would be complete, the people would be in place. But up and down the paddock, teams had turned their attentions to the 2026 regulations as well. Williams tried to balance both, remain competitive in 2025, whilst also preparing for 2026, and they pulled it off, mostly. The reliability issues, the cooling problems, the lack of in-season development had cost them points, but they'd stayed in the fight. Each race, each qualifying session, each strategic call was a learning opportunity. And for a team in the midst of transformation, learning was more valuable than points.
One of the things I really value from James was that he told me, don't expect much from 25. Say, okay, we will have a more competitive, but we are not going to be... I was like, at least he's telling me the truth, he's being open and honest, and I really value that.
So would you agree with 27, 28, or from what you've seen, do you think it can be 26?
I believe it. I'll leave it there.
The Carlos Sainz experiment had worked, despite the rocky start. His technical feedback, his experience, his relentless professionalism had elevated the entire team. And his partnership with Alex, built on mutual respect rather than rivalry, had proven James's vision was right. Alex himself had blossomed. 3 years of carrying Williams on his back had honed his skills, and now with a proper car beneath him, he was showing the world his true talent: consistent, fast, and intelligent.
I love the story of Williams. I think we're definitely in the right position, and I'm not looking around. I'm convinced in the project. I love being here, and I think James and the board are doing a fantastic job. So I do mean that, and I think looking at the previous results, there's no reason why I need to look around. I'm very happy with where I am.
Together, they delivered Williams' best season in years. Not perfect, not championship challenging, but undeniably, unquestionably better. The trajectory was upward, the belief was real, and the future was bright. James Vowles had set an ambitious target when he joined Williams in 2023: race wins by 2028. After the 2025 season, that target didn't seem quite so impossible anymore.
From probably the first few days of walking into Williams, it felt like home to me. I've been in Formula One for over 25 years, and there's something about all of you here within this environment and our team that creates an environment where you just want to give your heart and soul into it. And that's thanks to everyone in this room. It's somewhere where I know we can build on what we're doing at the moment. I know that the foundations we are putting in terms of process structures, systems, is all starting to pay dividends. That's why the performance is kicking forward. But what we have here in terms of how we work together, the culture, the feel, how you work with each other, that is really unique in my experience in Formula One in all the time that I've been here.
But the story isn't always that simple. Heading into 2026, things have already started on the wrong page for Williams. The team raised eyebrows by skipping the Barcelona shakedown, but James Vowles insists it was a deliberate decision, not a failure. The 2026 car has passed all mandatory crash tests, and Williams say they are ready for pre-season testing in Bahrain.
This clearly wasn't our original plan. It was painful, and it isn't a situation we want to be in again. We'd intended to be on track in Barcelona. It is a result of our determination to push the limits of performance under these new regulations for 2026. We are transforming fast. But this shows that my words I've already said over the last few years were not yet at a championship level, and we still have a tremendous amount of work to do.
The development of the 2026 car has been 3 times more complex than previous projects, exposing growing pains in a team still mid-rebuild. But with 6 days of testing in Bahrain, representative conditions and technical carryover from Mercedes, Williams are confident they can catch up, choosing preparation over perception as they look ahead to Melbourne.
The journey back to the front wouldn't be quick. Formula One never makes things easy, and the competition is fiercer than ever. But Williams had proven something crucial in 2025. They were no longer just making up the numbers, they were legitimate competitors. And that, after everything they've been through, was something worth celebrating. As the team packed up the factory for the winter break, preparing for the final season before the 2026 revolution, there was genuine excitement in the air. The Williams story in 2025 was about more than just points and podiums. It was a team rediscovering its identity, its purpose, its pride. It's about proving that even in the ruthless world of Formula One, patience and proper planning can overcome years of decline.
You know, Williams will be the biggest comeback in sport ever. It's got an incredible heritage. It's an independent team. It's not selling soft drinks. It's not selling fast cars or slow cars or whatever. It stands on its own. It's one of the third longest cars teams in the sport. It's multiple world champion. It's built on the ethos of Frank Williams, and we are committed to getting it back to the top of the grid.
And as we close this chapter of their story, one thing is certain. Williams Racing is back. Maybe not all the way back, not yet, but they're finding their way. And in Formula One, momentum is everything.
So that brings us to the end of Williams Racing's 2025 season. It was a year that began with hope and pretty much ended with hope as well, actually. But some uncomfortable questions too. They managed to score 137 points and claimed 5th in the Constructors Championship. So the first question, and it's something that most of the lower down teams have actually been doing, but James Vowles obviously stopped 2025 development to focus on 2026, and they managed to secure 5th place and 2 podiums, but finishing the season going backwards with no answers in Abu Dhabi. Do we think that the sacrifice play is genius or just an excuse?
Neither. Oh. It's not either. It's just common sense. That's what it is. Because I don't think people realise how different these cars are going to be. It's not just a new iteration. It's not just an evolution. It's a revolution of these technical regulations. We talk a lot about the 2014 regulations that came in that saw the dominance of Mercedes for God knows how many fucking years. This is going to be the same. What we don't realise for 2026 is that this is going to be the start of the history books writing a dominance of one team for a very long time, because one team will be able to best the rest. We're already seeing articles and whispers and rumours of Mercedes and Red Bull finding this little clever loophole engine trick. See more. That will be coming soon, an episode all about 2026 regulations once we finish this series and once I actually understand what the fucking regulations 2026 are all about, because they seem mad confusing. Anyway, I think that this is the best idea, and it's not just the lower down teams. Every fucking team is looking into the 2026 regulations because it's a different philosophy.
Yeah, but other teams did bring upgrades this year, whereas Williams... Okay, but Williams ran the exact same car spec in Melbourne all the way to Abu Dhabi.
Fools. No, clever. So, I think that realistically, even though 2025 wasn't a throwaway year, it was the last year of those regulations. So a lot of these cars, and a lot of the clever people that make them, may I add, they're not able to bring that many new things. It's similar. if you think about the iPhone, right?
I love an analogy from you.
Thank you. When the iPhone first came out, my uncle got one of the first iPhones. He had the first iPhone I actually ever saw. And if someone is Gen Z and young, I'm obviously lying. iPhone, I only ever know it as iPhone 15 plus, whatever. But for all of us old motherfuckers that remember the first iPhone, and it wasn't called the iPhone 1 or the iPhone Pro Max, it was called the fucking iPhone. That shit changed my life. It was crazy with the little, remember it had a black background, it had the little globe thing. That was crazy. But at some point over the years, the iPhone, it's now taken a formula. And it's now, they add bits and bobs to it, but it's still an iPhone. You see what I'm saying? It's not a new thing. Then they went through the whole iPod situation. We had a Nano. We had a Shuffle. We had a... Classic. Thank you. We had loads of different iterations of it. But essentially, it was just the same thing in different packaging. That is what has happened with the 2022 regulations. 2025, it was still an iPod, but maybe it was an iPod. Maybe it was an iPod Shuffle. Maybe it was a different colour. Maybe it had a couple of extra bits of gigabytes of storage, but it's still an iPod. 2026, it's like they're creating the first iPad. There's a lot more scope for progression and development. So if you're going to look at 2026, what's the point of pouring more fucking money into something that's already an iPod? You might as well start looking at how the fuck you make an iPad.
10 out of 10 analogy for you.
Thank you.
I think, we've seen with the rest of the teams on the grid, obviously everyone's putting in a lot of focus and a lot of work and effort for 2026 because, like you said, this is the year that's going to change everything. But I think in comparison to some of them like Alpine, which we did for the first episode and finished in P10, all of their focus is on 2026 and beyond, but also they completely forgot about 2025.
Yeah.
And their performance in 2025 was awful. And Williams' performance in 2025 wasn't bad at all. They managed to improve from P9 all the way to P5, and from 17 points to 100 and something is amazing. It's incredible. I think the decision to bring in Sainz, who's as experienced as Albon, into the team really, really improved their game. So yes, they did kind of make a sacrifice by not bringing in any more upgrades, but I don't really think that affected their performances. I think they still managed to do extremely well this year.
Yeah, and their podiums came towards the end of the season as well.
I mean, podiums for Williams? If people go far back enough into Drive to Survive, they'll see Claire Williams, who is the daughter of Frank Williams, Sir Frank Williams, who is the team is named after. We would have seen her in scenes bringing parts for the car straight over to pre-season testing.
In her handbag.
On the fucking plane. I mean, this is a team that was in total disarray. It was a huge decline. She had to bring in pay drivers, which we discussed in another episode. Pay drivers is used as a term for people like Lance Stroll, for example, that have huge financial backing that basically pay to be in that seat. And teams like Williams at that point was so financially insecure and vulnerable that they took it on. But Lance Stroll is not someone that makes you build a good car. He's someone that pays to have a good car, and that's that. If you look at where James Vowles has come in and been able to revolutionise this place, I remember one of the first things he said was when he came in, he said, I told people, if I heard the saying, we've always done it this way, we change it. Because a team stuck in one place is only going backwards because they're only ever thinking, well, we always done it this way. I've always done it that way. Why would we do it differently? So he was like, break everything. And clearly, the James Vowles effect, Reverend James Vowles, for those that saw the last season of Drive to Survive, he's clearly doing the Lord's work.
And I don't want to, this isn't meant as a put down to George Russell, but his podium at Spa was nonsense. It wasn't a real podium. He didn't actually fight for that win.
Yeah, it's true.
He didn't fight for it at all. He qualified well during a wet qualifying, which anyone can do because the condition... Well, come on.
Well, yeah, he capitalised on the rain, which is a great equaliser and means you can have a very mixed up order of a grid. But I mean, he did do it.
Yes, he did do it, but that was also down to timing and track conditions and stuff like that.
But also George loves a little, let's go for the win.
Yeah,
he loves that. He loves a moment like that. Let's go for the win.
Even when he was in a Williams that would always finish the race in 20th, he thought that he could have won.
If I get out of the car and run, I might be able to win.
But then the race itself never actually properly happened. It was only 2 laps behind a safety car, which means he didn't even get the full 18 points for finishing in second place. He only got half of those points.
But he did cry, and it was very heartwarming.
I mean, he didn't really work for it.
No, but it was heartwarming. No, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Okay. It was heartwarming. That was the main dotted line.
But since you mentioned money,
yes,
millions of pounds are awarded for P5, and that's obviously going towards helping Williams fund their 2026 programme. But Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, they still have everything better spec in their factories, in their facilities and all of that. They can always afford more. And the cost cap is obviously there to try and help those lower down teams make their way up. But they've still got the old infrastructure that is more advanced than Williams ever has. So do we think that Williams, with all this new money, with this P5 in the championship this year, might genuinely be able to get ahead in 2026? Or do we think that it's always going to be those top 4 teams that are in the top, and Williams are kind of just always going to be P5 or might fall down?
Whoa, now. Hang on a second. We're saying the 4 teams. And the 4 teams to everyone's minds that we're thinking of is Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, and who?
McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren were poo for quite a long time, if you remember that. So that tells you, right, they were absolutely stinking. They were hooners. They were crap. They were not this fantastic, formidable papaya team. I spoke to somebody at work about this who's a relatively new fan, and I absolutely adore and embrace new fans. But they kept saying, they were like, what an iconic colour to have as your colour for all these years. I said, no, that's actually wrong. This new papaya era is a new era of McLaren. There has been many other eras of McLaren. You don't know enough, okay?
Chrome and red.
Thank you. And before that, the Marlboro era, for goodness sake. So, my point is that things doth change, girlies. And that tells you that anyone could be, soon we could be saying top 5 teams. And suddenly it's Williams. It could be Audi. Their car looks cool.
Yeah.
We don't know. So, yes, I do think that to a degree, you have to have the infrastructure to get yourself up there. But you also need a hope and a dream and one team. And I think James Vowles, coming from Mercedes, he knows what a championship-winning, dominant team looks like, which is why he's been able to make the right infrastructural changes and the culture change. Obviously, they have a no-blame culture over there, which I feel like Lewis might be changing in Ferrari because he said, "Darby, get out!" Sorry, but
more on that in the Ferrari episode.
That was a tease. But I do think that where they don't have the infrastructure, maybe as much of all the facilities and everything set up, James knows how to get there, and he said 2028. So it's 2026 now. That is 2 seasons away. And this could be a really integral year for Williams. They might not be catching up to the big boys, but if they could catch onto maybe the coattails of a little Ferrari moment, because I don't know what they're going to be doing, you never know. They could be in the mix more than they were this year. I felt that they were kind of safe in P5, but they were never a threat to the top 4.
Okay.
And also, it's like the start of the episode mentions that F1's disease is recency bias, and that's very true because Williams is a legacy team. Williams was alongside Ferrari and McLaren as one of the teams that have first started with F1 that have been there the longest, and they've won multiple Constructors Championships, they've won multiple Drivers' Championships, so there's nothing to say that they can't get back to the place that they were. I think it might not happen immediately, but I think they could very much get there. And I think the level of improvement they experience in just a year is incredible. And I think in 2028, I wouldn't be surprised if they're also fighting for championships.
Okay, toe for toe, 2026. Who do you think's going to win out, Audi or Williams?
Williams.
Toe for toe, Haas or Williams?
Williams.
Oh, okay, fine. Racing Bulls or Williams?
Williams.
Ooh, McLaren or Williams?
McLaren.
You're a hater.
What I do want to say, though, is look at you, knowing all this F1 stuff, able to contribute positively to debates and discussions.
Thank you.
You are Williams.
But this is also recency
You used
bias.
to be down at the bottom, not knowing a thing.
That's
and
true.
now you're Williams. You've made your way up. You're like close to playing with the big leagues of me and Iz.
Oh my God. So the year of Williams in F1, that's going to determine how we see you and your F1 knowledge. So if you dip down and Williams' performance dips, we won't have as much respect for you. But if you ascend upwards to the likes of Ferrari and Mercedes, you'll be running the podcast.
I don't think you should praise me this much because just like the montage said, this is recency bias because I wrote the montage before.
I was going to say, can anyone tell this motherfucker wrote the fucking montage?
And that was
She's like, let me reference my own work from earlier, like fucking Blue Peter. Here's what I made earlier.
But that's not the reason I knew it. Like 6 hours ago, I wouldn't have known that Williams has won constructors in the past.
Oh, now we're back to reality.
What I will say about Williams, though, is that they do still have their Williams ways, because on social media this week has been videos and photos of a Williams car, obviously for their 2026 reveal, on its side somewhere in central London, trying to get into a building, and they're all struggling to move this car, and it's just upright on its side.
That is definitely, there is some bloody middle-aged woman that's got her hand on her hip saying, where the fuck have we got the space for that? And he said, listen, I saw them moving it, no one was looking, and now I'm going to tape it to the top of our fucking ceiling. And she's like, we haven't paid the council tax bill. And he's like, but look, this is cool. Did that joke land? I don't know. I found it funny in my head. Well, they've also got a multitude of different liveries, and their fans can choose what they're going to have for their livery.
That's quite cool.
That.
Yeah,
they are very fandom friendly. I don't know if that's the right word, but I mean they do love to connect with their fans.
Do you feel that as a fan of Carlos Sainz, you just want to connect with Carlos Sainz?
Well, yes, I'm ready for when they start doing like the whole dating auctions.
You're gonna be like Creed from The Office when he's like, it just says Creed. He's like, yeah, that's all inclusive.
But it would be like raising money for charity, and all I can offer is £20 because we don't get paid for this podcast.
Is that all you would bid for Carlos Sainz? Is £20?
I don't have more.
You've got a credit card.
That's true. Okay, maybe I'll go up to 50.
Okay, but what are you after for 50? What's the price list here?
A date.
Pat on the back.
Oh, a date. Yeah, but is it a date that goes well, or just a really mid date where you go to Nando's and he's just not really talking much and you're looking awkwardly, trying to do some seductive lip balm applying?
I feel like it would be hilarious to introduce Sainz to Nando's. So
He definitely already knows about Nando's.
He's been in quite a few UK-based teams.
He seems very, high class.
The word's Spanish, but okay.
Oh my god, it's Puerto Rican, isn't it?
It's Portuguese.
Puerto Rican, you fucking idiot. Oh my god, it's Puerto Rican.
It starts the same.
It starts the same. Completely different continents. Completely opposite ends of the world. Okay, let's talk about Carlos Sainz, and let's bring in Alex Albon as well. Carlos, race winner from Ferrari, took 17 rounds here to get a podium and outscored by his teammate despite his podiums. Alex, career best season, but is 8th in the championship, actually his ceiling.
Fuck no. Absolutely fucking not. This is a guy that was in fucking Red Bull, for God's sake. He got kicked out because that team is toxic as fuck when it comes to their driver pairings, signings and firings. But Alex Albon is a fucking successful, great driver. And I think realistically, he got his turn in Red Bull, then he got ejected out of the seat, then he had to go on the sidelines, if you remember. He was just a reserve driver for them, similar to what's happened to poor Yuki Tsunoda, and he was able to get himself back into racing, and he's used that opportunity like God knows what. And I think he's been a fantastic team leader. And I think him and Carlos together have been a fantastic pairing. And I think that they're actually a lot stronger of a pairing than people give them credit for. On the point of Carlos Sainz, it's crazy to think that Carlos Sainz is still the last Ferrari race winner.
Yeah.
When he's done a whole season with Williams, he is still the only race winner. Yes, the asterisk can be for the sprint race with Lewis, but we all know what happened with that, and it wasn't a full-length race. So don't fucking come for me, all right? Sorry, 2026 and being a little bit defensive.
And passionate as well. I'm loving the passion.
Thank you so much. I think I'm excited to go racing. I can't wait to stop talking about the fucking past and talk about now, all right? Sorry.
It's coming, don't
I haven't
worry.
had dinner yet. I think that considering how, if you look at Lewis and also Carlos, they're both going into very different teams. Carlos is obviously very familiar with the Ferrari engine and moving over to working with a Mercedes engine, and Lewis is doing the reverse of that. They both recognise within each other, I know how hard that is, bro. But I think that Carlos has clearly got a very supportive, open environment of which he can really embed himself in that team. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that he really liked the team. He also recognised that before James Vowles even knew that he was up for, he didn't have a seat, he actually went out and sought after Carlos Sainz. And he said, listen, I know you're probably going to sign with Ferrari, and that's fine. And if everything goes well, then this conversation never happened. But if it doesn't go that way, just know we're here, Williams are here, we'd like to sign you. So James already had it in his head that someone like Carlos Sainz would be the sort of person to bring that team forward. So the fact that he was able to get podiums out of this season in a car from a Williams team that didn't seem dramatically competitive, I think shows the trajectory that Williams are going in, but also how good of a driver Carlos Sainz is able to extract things from a car that most people wouldn't be able to.
Okay, you made a comparison there that I really liked. And Reem, I'm throwing this question to you.
Ooh.
Lewis Hamilton versus Carlos Sainz. If their teams had been switched around, if Sainz had stayed in Ferrari and if Williams had actually signed Lewis, do you think that this year Sainz would have got another win with Ferrari? And do you think Lewis might have been able to get a win or at least a podium with Williams?
I don't think Sainz would have gotten a win with Ferrari. And I think Lewis would have definitely gotten a podium and have gotten overall much better performance in the Williams, because I don't think it comes down to the skills of either driver. At least with Ferrari, I don't think it comes down to the skills. I think it more comes down to strategy in the car. And I think that's what affects Charles and Lewis's performance, because both of them are brilliant drivers. Obviously, Lewis is a 7-time championship winner, and Charles is also like a star driver, and he's a multiple race winner. But unfortunately, their car is really shit. While in Williams, I think the car is a lot easier to drive, but also the team strategies seem to be a lot better. And that combination with Carlos Sainz having the skills in that team, I think that's how he was able to gain that performance this year. So yeah, I think if the roles were reversed, I think it would have been Lewis getting a podium and not Sainz.
Okay. Interesting.
I think it's a good point you make about the strategy being really strong in Williams, because James Vowles was in charge of strategy when he was in Mercedes.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if that has also sharpened up a lot of the areas of expertise that he's been able to say, let's change this, let's change that. Because from an area of strategy, he'll be saying pit stops need to be quicker. Decisions need to be made faster. How are we getting to these decisions? What personnel do we have there? What information and data points are we able to pull from the car? All of those questions will be coming from his experience working trackside with Mercedes. And I also wonder if Lewis's environment within Williams would be more similar to Mercedes as a result of James Vowles' input. James Vowles was reporting to Toto Wolff. Toto Wolff was the team principal, and still is, that was directly impacting and creating the sort of culture they had at Mercedes. And James you can tell that James and Toto have worked together. Their philosophies are very similar. And Ferrari is not the same in any way. Yeah. I think Williams is more open to change. James Vowles is quite openly saying, let's change our processes, update it, renew
break
it.
everything.
Literally, break everything and make it better. And Ferrari needs to do the same, but they're like, hey. We are championship losers. We know how to lose, okay? Don't come in here with your ways, thank you very much. It's Maranello forever. And then he says, when did you last win? And they're like, Maranello forever! And they just talk over anyone when they ask them valid questions.
Okay. Let's talk about strategy a little bit, seeing as you're both enjoying that. Obviously, in Australia, when Carlos wasn't able to participate in the full race because he got out of the race, he then went...
He had a torque spike, actually.
Torque spike, yes.
Just to let you know.
He sat on the pit wall and helped with the strategy calls for Alex Albon. That's very nice of him, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. I mean, it's a lovely thing for Carlos to do. I also wonder if maybe it was trying to get his stock back up. Because if he's not used to the car and he's crashed out, what can he do to be able to prove his worth and be able to show the team he's a team player, he's ready to get going, he's just had a bit of a wobble and he's going to be, back on it. The best way is to come and sit with your team and help directly your teammate. That tells you all you need to know about Carlos Sainz. Team player, ready to get involved, and when he makes mistakes, he's always going to find a way to contribute. I think it's a very, very gentlemanly move, and I also thought this embodies the reason why fans love Williams, because they are so wholesome.
And wholesome they are, even with Carbono as their little ship name. But do you think it lacks competitive tension? Because if they're very friendly, helping each other with strategy and stuff like that, they have a little ship name and they do social media videos together and stuff like that, are they actually competitors? Because while they're in a team together, they are still competitors. Look at Piastri versus Norris.
I don't think they're at a stage where they should be acting as competitors, because neither of them are fighting for a driver's championship. They're not in a position to get to a driver's championship, not the way that Oscar and Lando were. And I think, if anything, the teamwork is what helps them get even more points, because we saw it at Racing Bulls as well. There's been a few times where Liam's really helped Isaac, and Isaac was able to get more points or get towards a higher position because of Liam helping him in the back. And we've seen it as well in 2025, where Carlos and Alex were also working together and they were helping each other out. And I think that helped them perform even more. So currently, where the team is sitting, where they're still in the midfield, and they're more focused on just increasing performance and increasing the amount of points that they're getting, this is the best attitude for the both of them to have. But when the team becomes more and more competitive and there is a chance for either of them to actually get a championship, then yeah, I think they would start needing to introduce that competitiveness.
Okay, but then isn't it going to be really, really awkward and uncomfortable when they do, if they haven't set these boundaries straight from the get-go? Again, look at Oscar and Lando. They didn't have, a huge rivalry and stuff like that when Oscar first paired up with him. And now last year it was, okay, we're going to start favouring Lando. And this year it's, we're not really favouring anyone, but also, we're sneakily favouring Lando. If they have never had that competitive edge and they've always been very, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back, is it going to make it uncomfortable for when the time comes for them to actually start properly competing against each other? Because it's not just about winning championships, it's also about securing your next drive, because these drivers, a lot of them, are on short contracts.
It's always the case. As soon as a team gets competitive, they have to reevaluate their main objectives and what they want to score. The team will always want them to continue to race hard on track, but ultimately get more points scored for the Constructors Championships, because that's their main source of funding. And the drivers will always give a fuck about the Drivers' Championship and pretend they care about the Constructors Championship. Because realistically, what they really want is to hold that big, massive fucking trophy and say, nah, 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 I'm the top driver, la 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 la. That's all they care about. I'm sure Lando Norris really loved the fact that they were Constructors Championships. He couldn't give a fuck. He was also the world champion. That's what he really cared about. So yes, the team will always want them to be helping each other out, doing the right thing. You'll hear them on the radio, you don't win a championship on your own. Do you remember when Lando's engineer to say that? He said, at some point you're going to need the team, do the right thing. He had to be fucking heavily convinced, as they all do, to fucking play the team game when it's up for a championship. So yes, it will get awkward, it will get difficult. All they need is some really clear / vague rules, like the papaya rules, and they'll be perfectly fucking fine. There'll be no issues with it. How about that?
I think where it will get difficult is the fact that Carlos and Alex are both very experienced drivers, and I get Alex has been in Williams for a lot longer, since 2022, I think, and Sainz has only been there since 2025, but Sainz isn't a rookie, and they can't really have that whole mentality of lead driver and the rookie driver, because they both have very good experience in F1.
They still will, though. They still will. I mean, if you look at Charles and Lewis, realistically, without anyone saying it, Charles is still the lead driver of that team, because he's pulling in the points and has more performance, each session that he races in. And it would be the same. Alex Albon for 2025 had the better run of form over Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz was able to capitalise once he's got his head around it. I think Alex still would be treated as the lead driver,
Really?
But
Yeah, I think I do.
got podiums.
I agree, but he's still the new boy. And I think that F1 teams, they're very fickle. I think they see, staying with the team for a long time, building something, helping that development, being able to do all the press events, being able to be a good ambassador for the team. That means a lot. That means money, which means they want you. So if there's a chance for you to win a championship, they'll push you forward because it's good for their brand and it's good for their fandoms. It makes them sell a lot of merch. So it also undermines the idea that their lead driver that's been there for so many seasons, like they had with McLaren, it undermines that potentially if Oscar Piastri can come in after a couple of seasons and win it over Lando Norris, it lowers the stock of Lando Norris too much. So I think Alex Albon will be the lead driver of that team.
Damn.
Okay. So, traitors, time to have a round table. Let's each give our prediction for Williams' 2026 constructor position.
The problem I have is that I'm pretty sure I said P5 for Racing Bulls,
Yeah,
and now
same.
I'm a bit stuck.
Same.
I thought it was a P6.
No, we said P5.
Oh, because I kind of wanted to say P5 for Williams.
Same.
Same, that's the exact same.
P4.
I think it. Yeah, they could be P4. I'm
Okay,
not
who
quite...
are you bumping down?
Ferrari.
Yeah, maybe.
Damn.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you say that, but Ferrari were still clear of Williams this year.
They were, to be fair.
Ferrari ended the season on 398 points. Williams finished the season on 137. So, yes, Ferrari had a bit of a poopy year, but they still did a lot better than Williams.
I think it's impossible to say at this point. I think around the P4, P5, maybe 4.5 is their position.
I mean,
maybe it goes down to the wire, and that's why it's so difficult for us to predict it.
Yeah.
I get there is a gap between them and Ferrari this year, but that's also counting the fact that Carlos Sainz was still adjusting to being in the Williams seat, but he's going to be adjusted in 2026. And Alex Albon is going to have a drive in 2026. So, I don't know. I think P4 potentially.
The only viable thing we can do is that on the last episode of this podumentary series, Red Flags, White Lies, is that we create a tier list and actually officially go through each team and create where we think they're going to sit. And then there'll be a whole separate episode where we debate and argue about it for about an hour.
But currently the list is fucked.
Yeah, currently the list is completely fucked. I don't know who's going to go where. 4.5 is my official position.
All right, I'm not mad at a 4.5. We could also argue that Mercedes make better engines than Ferrari, so...
That's true.
Chances are more in Williams' favour. Okay, one bold prediction about Williams' 2026 season.
Double podium in 2026.
Damn! I fuck with it. I like it.
I fucks with it.
I think it would be very, very, very fun to see both of them end up on the podium.
Wholesome.
Just imagine the social media afterwards.
I think Carlos Sainz outperforms and outscores Alex Albon in 2026.
Damn.
Is that a bold prediction?
Well, he didn't do it in 2025, so yeah.
Yeah, but he got podiums, and as we made the point of already, he was still adjusting to a completely new car, completely new engine.
Fine. Alex Albon will miss a race to go and get married because he's engaged currently.
Yes, I saw that. Congratulations to Alex Albon. Quite a lot of them are engaged at the moment, aren't they?
They are. They're growing up. You blink of an eye and they're just all growing up.
Remember when they were still in nappies?
Ew.
I don't.
Okay. Strange.
My bold prediction is... Ooh, I actually don't know. I really like your double podium.
You can't steal it.
I bet boys say that to you all the time. No? Sorry.
Okay, fine. I'll go complete 180, double DNF in the first half of the season.
Ooh.
Oh.
I can see it, you know. Cooling issues, we've heard about it.
Well, if there's going to be rain, maybe.
Well.
Usually happens in rain.
There's going to be rain, maybe. A quote from Ream 2026.
Thank God for you, eh?
Okay, and your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 in them achieving race wins by 2028, as is James Vowles' ambition.
8 out of 10.
I'm giving him a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
By 2028, that's so long away.
Damn, the girlies are really gassing up Williams today.
Yeah,
okay, fine,
yeah.
fine. Okay, fine. I'm staying with what I say, but fine. I love you guys.
And a bonus question for this roundtable, because I'm in a bitchy mood. Who do you think made the better signing?
Williams.
Williams signing Carlos Sainz or Ferrari signing Lewis Hamilton?
Williams.
Really?
But the only right, here's the thing, yeah. Let me say my piece here. It's not a slight against Sir Lewis Hamilton. It really isn't, because you don't lose the ability to be a 7-time world champion overnight, okay?
No.
What I think is that the reason that the signing for Williams is better with Carlos Sainz is that they have got the nurturing ability to be able to use Carlos to help drive their vision forward. All I was hearing throughout 2025 was that for some reason, Lewis Hamilton was being made to email over documents that people weren't fucking reading in Maranello. What exactly is fucking happening? What is going on?
Waste of his damn time.
Waste of his damn time. And I don't understand why he's having to sit there looking like a fucking red lemon, because he's in red, having to say, I've sent documents, I'm trying to make the car better, what can I do? And, you know, we'll cover it in the Ferrari episode, but Lewis Hamilton's mentality seemed he looked so beaten and worn down. Carlos Sainz, yes, he had difficult days, but those podium finishes, oh my God, the adulation, the excitement, the celebration, the mentality was better. I think Williams set Carlos Sainz up for success. Ferrari set Lewis Hamilton up for failure.
Yeah, I think overall Williams as a team are willing to learn, are willing to change. It's their whole ethos at the moment is change, whereas Ferrari are so stuck in their ways.
Exactly.
That signing someone like Lewis with all of his experience, with all of his championships, with all of his records that he holds was completely pointless because they weren't going to listen to a damn thing he had to say.
Listen to him. Stop making him trying to learn Italian and listen to him. Get Google Translate out if it's that difficult.
Do you think if he was fluent in Italian they'd listen?
Yes! Because the culture of Ferrari is such that is something Sebastian Vettel said. You need to learn not just the language of the Italians, you need to learn the language of the Italians. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You hear what I'm saying? It's like there's a whole other world over there, and the way that they work, the history, the legacy. It's a team always looking behind their shoulders at what they used to achieve. Williams are saying, we used to achieve that. We need to look forwards into how we can achieve it again. And that is the crucial difference.
Well, that was the Williams episode, and we're officially halfway through.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, the problem is that I'm passionate, but I do have a sense of worry and dread because I know that these teams, as we go up the order, they had more going on in their seasons. And there was a lot of technical stuff, a lot of personnel changes, a lot of drama. So I know that the research will get, how I say, hefty. And I am, how you say, nervous.
And the episode will be 4 hours long.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We might make Ferrari a two-parter.
Honestly.
Well, Ferrari is the next episode on the list.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ferrari finished P4.
No, I haven't got the time yet. I need to book a fucking week of annual leave. Oh my God. That's the next ep.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Shit. Oh my word. Oh, sorry, we're meant to be promoting this. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a lot of work, but amazing.
I'm not going to sleep, but yeah.
And we'll do that for you, loyal listeners.
We will. I feel like I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, Bogs, and have like a screaming thing like Charles Leclerc said he had.
Oh, that dream. Leclerc's dream. I live for it.
I'll try and get that into the app.
Yes, please do. So that was the Williams episode. If you've enjoyed this episode and all of the previous episodes that we have done, please leave a review, leave a comment, give a rating, share it on your socials, with your friends, with your family, with your co-workers. We really appreciate any support that you are able to give. You can find us on social media. We're available on Instagram, X, TikTok and YouTube. And we will, of course, be back in a week's time in your ears talking all about Ferrari.
Also, make sure your vitamin C's up. It's cold outside and it's been very rainy in the UK, so look after yourself, doll.
And vitamin D.
Yeah. Oi, oi.